So this part of the story is where we are going to talk about when I went to the hospital and found some very interesting things while I was there. And I'm not sure what else, but we'll see where it goes from there. So we're going to take off right from where the last video left off. I was able to see the entity put the tubes in a sort of briefcase and walk out of my room. A moment later, I was able to fully move again. These experiments would cause me to be sick very often as well. It seemed like every few weeks I was being taken to the ER over some type of virus or illness. Most of the time, the doctors had no answers. They would simply advise me not to eat for 24 hours and only drink clear liquids. This was their remedy so often. It wouldn't surprise me if they told a patient with a broken arm, clear liquids and no eating for 24 hours, that arm will be good as new in no time. Obviously, I am being sarcastic, but they really never had answers for my illnesses. Maybe my illnesses were out of this world. There is no way of knowing for sure. I had many accidents growing up as well. Accidents that sent me to the ER. One accident in particular was a small one, but would end up revealing a lot. This accident I am speaking of may be the very reason I am writing this. I mean, in order to feel comfortable telling a story like this, some would say you need some kind of proof. And proof is exactly what this skateboard accident provided. I had been riding down the sidewalk next to our home. There was a set of concrete stairs that led from the sidewalk to our front door. There was grass on either side of the stairs. Most of the time, I would ride my skateboard down the slope next to the stairs, cutting through the grass and coming back out on the sidewalk. There was a little worn trail in the grass for how many times I had done this. On this particular day, I simply lost my footing. My skateboard flew out from under me. I slid through the grass until I was finally stopped by the steps. My right hip and upper right thigh impacted a corner of the concrete steps. The accident peeled some skin off and bruised me very quickly. I was having a lot of pain in my hip when I walked. My parents decided to take me to the emergency room just to be safe. The emergency room in our town often had a long wait. The day of this accident, the wait was typical. After triage and a trip to the vending machines, I was finally taken back. I was in a room with my parents. I got undressed down to my boxers and put on a hospital gown. The doctor came in and told us I would be getting an x-ray. No big deal. By this point in my life, I was a regular at the ER. The x-ray technician brought in a wheelchair and rolled me back to her lab. I laid down on the big cold table, had my picture taken, and was wheeled back to my room. After what seemed like an hour, the doctor came in with my x-ray. He stuck the film to the x-ray illuminator box that was hanging on the wall. He flips the box light switch and began to explain how there are no fractures or broken bones. Then he paused a moment. He looked at my parents and me. The doctor's expression looked puzzled. He finally asked, "Has your son ever had any surgeries? I have looked over his medical records and I can't find anything indicating him ever having any operations." My parents and myself concurred. I had never had a surgery of any kind. The doctor pressed more. "Has he ever been hit by shrapnel or maybe been shot by a pellet gun?" "No, nothing at all," my mother replied. My father and myself agreed with her. The doctor would go on to explain how the x-ray showed a metallic-like object in my lower abdomen. He pointed to the object on the x-ray. We all examined it in wonder. By this point in my life, I was almost 12, and my parents had been aware of my alien visits for a while. My parents looked at the object on the x-ray. Then they looked at each other. My parents' expressions spoke loudly without words. They looked at each other as if acknowledging the possibility. They both looked at me, inquiring what I thought about it. I looked at the object. It was roughly the size of a dime. It was rectangular, but it seemed to have a shape of an octagon with smooth edges. I couldn't help but notice the location of the object. I was quickly reminded of a visit from the aliens almost a year earlier. I awaken in the middle of the night. My bedroom light is off, but light from the hall is illuminating everything. I am almost in the setting position at the head of my bed. A gray alien is straddling my legs. He is doing something to my stomach. I feel very weak, but I try to fight back. I realize I am lying back against another alien. The alien behind me is holding me up. His arms are underneath mine. He has his arms wrapped around me, assisting the gray that is straddling my legs. Once I realize my arms are free, I put them above my head, reaching for the alien behind me. I feel its skin. It feels like loose silk. Feeling enraged towards the entities, I dig my nails into its skin. I drag my nails along its shoulders. The alien behind me grabs my arms, but I reach further behind me for another bite. I dig my nails into the sides of its head this time. I start to drag my nails across its skin for the second time. The entity releases my right arm. I think for a second this might actually be working, but I am greatly mistaken. The right hand of the entity behind me comes into view. There is something small and shiny in its hand. The entity presses the object against my right side above my right hip bone. The sheen from the object disappears as it enters my body. I groan in pain and dig my nails in deeper. The more pressure I put on the alien's skin, the deeper he pushes the object inside me. I let up on my nails, and I feel the entity let up on my hip. I understand at this point. I will only feel pain if I fight back. I drop my arms and give up. The entity removes his hand, leaving the object inside me. Any ideas what this could be? The doctor asked me. I am in deep thought, and I don't grip the question right away. I'm sorry, what did you say? Have you been shot by a pellet gun? Or has anything happened that would explain this? I have an answer for the object, but I am definitely not telling this guy. No, sir, I say. The doctor ponders for a moment. Well, I would like to get a few more x-rays just to be sure it's not a glitch or something. Would that be all right with you guys? The doctor looked around at all of us, waiting on our answer. None of us minded getting the x-rays. We were all curious about the object, even if we weren't discussing it. The x-ray technician brought the wheelchair back to our room. She wheeled me back to the table again. Even the tech mentioned how odd it was to have this mysterious object inside me and not know anything about it. I never told anyone, but I thought it was awesome to be seeing hard evidence of my encounters. This time I got on the table. I had to pull my boxers down and my gown up. The tech had laid a towel over me so I would be covered. The x-ray revealed the same object. There was no glitch. So just for good measure, the doctor had the tech use a different machine. This time I stood next to a smaller platform with only a towel around me. She took x-rays of my front side, my back side, my left side, and right side. The object was very prominent in every x-ray. The doctor was really interested in this. It had become a little side study for him as he worked his shift. He even entertained the idea of going to another hospital to get more x-rays, but he assured my parents he was only joking when he seen our reactions. The doctor told us he would be sending copies of my x-rays to multiple specialists. He took our contact info and told us as soon as he had answers, he would contact us. After we got in the car and was leaving, I asked my mother, "You know what it is, right, Mom?" "I don't know what it is, honey, but I know how it probably got there." I didn't say anything else. Having my parents see the unexplainable object gave validation to my claims, and that was good enough for me. As I write this, it has been over 20 years, and we have never heard anything about the object in the x-rays to this day. I went to get a copy of the x-ray to use for the cover of this book, but the x-rays had been destroyed. Fortunately, I was able to recover the doctor's original report from the hospital records department. The report reads as follows: pelvis, hip, 6-1-96. The skeletal structure appears normal. The left hip appears symmetric to the right side. The growth plate appears unremarkable. There is a metallic density projected over the right lower quadrant. We did a second view to see if this was an artifact. It does not appear to be so. Apparently, there is no history of foreign body. This could be a piece of ingested metal. At this point, the exact cause remains unclear. Nothing else clearly acute seen. If there is any question about an ingested foreign body, the patient could be brought back, and some oblique views obtained to further identify the exact cause of this. So, this is really wild. When I went back and I had x-rays again on, I think maybe my wrist or something, when I was about 19 years old, and I was talking to the x-ray tech, and the girl, she showed me the x-ray. So I seen it again when I was 19. And it was right there in the little small town x-ray room. It was in a file, with my name on it, just a little flabby file. So I remember seeing it. That was the last time I ever got to see that x-ray. And still, honestly, that's the reason why I remember what it looked like as a child. By seeing it again when I was 19, I was like, wow. I didn't remember it looking so octagon-y, because it looked like a little stop sign almost. That was it was like an octagon shape, but obviously I'm doing animation, so I'll draw what I remember it looking like and show it on the screen here. But it was so frustrating for me, because when I started writing this book, I was like, I've got to go get that x-ray. And so I finally made it out to the hospital, and I was there for about an hour going back and forth, asking, what can I do to get this x-ray? And they were looking for it. And then I'm pretty sure I came back a couple days later, and they said that the x-ray had been destroyed. And, I thought that was so strange. And something else that was frustrating to me is I'd seen the same little file cabinet sitting there that was there when I was 19 that the lady opened, and the old file was in there. And I honestly wanted so bad to just reach down there and open that little cabinet and see for myself. But, she was very adamant that the x-ray had been destroyed. So then they sent me back to the records department, and I went back there, and I just, at least I had the doctor's report. So they basically took the doctor's report from the x-ray, stored it in their digital system, and destroyed the actual hard copy of the x-ray. But honestly, I thought that was very odd. That, just a few weeks before I start writing these books, my x-ray was destroyed. Something that that's the reason I started writing these. I was like, I've got that x-ray. That's going to be, an amazing proof. But sure enough, the x-ray was destroyed. So I went and got another x-ray to see if maybe it's still there. And sure enough, it's not in my hip anymore. Or, that I've got another place on my body that I think there might be something like that. But as far as my hip where the thing was, it's no longer there. I got an x-ray of it, and they said there's nothing there anymore. So it was very disappointing not to have that x-ray. But, I seen it, my parents seen it, and the doctor, I've got his record of talking about it. So it was there. I guess I'm going to leave the story there. I think maybe coming up in the next chapter might be about the time that ship crashed down in the cattle field, I think. I'm not sure. Thank you all for listening, and please leave a like and, subscribe so you're not missing every week when a new chapter comes out. And, share this with your friends and stuff that are into aliens and things like that. But thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for your support. I'm very grateful. You have been listening to Mac and Creeps. This is the story, Aliens, Monsters, and the Supernatural, a true story of a terrorized life.